This is Gypsy. Sit. I'm using this as an opportunity for her to nibble on this. In this video, we're going to go over how you can use counter conditioning to stop a dog from barking when it hears the door, a knock at the door. Now, we're going to do this with just a knock at the door, but you can also use this for doorbells, all sorts of any sort of repeatable sound. Now, Gypsy, being a Chihuahua, they don't brush very often, and so she's lost some of her teeth. Now, when you're doing this, you want to have a high-value training treat, and you want to make sure that when you're doing this, this is the treat. It looks like a pellet. So what I'm going to do is, this is a meat treat, so I'm going to smash it. So now it's flat like a pancake. So now it takes her longer to get. She can't get it all in one bite. And I can also use this to change where the dog looks, up or down or to the side, because the dog's very interested in the treat. This is what we call a reinforcer, primary reinforcer actually. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use counter conditioning. So I'm going to ask, first of all, for just a police knock at the door, and anytime you're ready. So that's the before. So if you have a dog, a lot of dogs do that. Gypsy. Now, the mistake a lot of people make is when a dog gets like this, they let the dog get a little bit calmer, and then they try to practice again, and the dog keeps on reacting. We want the dog to return to a completely calm state. I had him do that because I knew I was going to cough a little bit, and so it gives her a chance. So that's residual carryover. So she's still ready to do that. But the treats are here, and she's more interested in having the treats. I'll give you a little one for a sit. How about that? All right. I like the tongue coming out the side. You're very Chihuahua-esque. Yes, you get that one stuck between the teeth and, or the gum and the gum. I say teeth and gum, but she has never any teeth left. All right. So basically, for counter conditioning, what we're trying to do is a replacement behavior. So this is really classical conditioning. This is Pavlov's dog. There's a knock at the door, guaranteed excitement because somebody's going to come in. A package, a kid, a visitor, something's going to happen, and that's excitement. Most of us confuse excited for happy when it comes to dogs. So excited is an unbalanced state of mind, just like anything else. If I'm going to have surgery, the last thing I want my surgeon to be is excited. I want to be calm and balanced and bored, practically. So here you get another one. So basically what we're doing with counter conditioning is we're trying to help replace the behavior of barking and running to the door to a new behavior, just sitting here and having something good happen, be rewarded for just sitting here. Now, a little sidebar you can do is if that is a trigger for your dog, is you can actually help desensitize your dog, which is a very important part of the process. So what you can do for that is every once in a while when you're watching TV and nobody's at the door and the dog's not paying attention, she didn't do it. Some dogs will bark and run to the door. So if somebody's sitting here, you reach back when the dogs aren't looking, knock on the wall. And they're not going to expect it, so they're going to run there. Now we have 3 dogs in the house. You can hear the other 2 dogs barking. I put them outside because she is much smaller than they are, and she's really the catalyst for these problems. She starts barking, and it's caused the puppy, who is also getting into it with her. He's not attacking her, but he's way too big. He's probably 20 times her size. So basically, you want to desensitize the dog. So when we knock or ring the doorbell, but nobody gets up and goes to the door and nobody comes in, it takes away that excitement level. And after enough repetition, it's just like, yeah. It's kind of like, a great example of this is car alarms. If you're in a parking lot, you hear a car alarm, nobody even looks anymore. That's the whole point of what it was designed for. Hey, somebody's trying to steal my car. It happens and people just let it go, and so we become desensitized to them. You want to do the same thing for all the triggers that cause your dog to get excited. All right, so let's get you better camera presence. Let's get you to come over here. We turn around a little bit. There we go. So what I'm going to do now, and I've worked out a code, and what I told the guardian who's at the door is he needs a knock, and we're going to knock in a very progressive way. Now, I don't want to say now. After a while, now becomes a command word that there's going to be a knock. So the code we worked out was I'm going to say a number, a numeral. And when I do that, he's going to give me a knock each time. So this way I can talk conversationally and the dog doesn't know what it is. Next time we do it, anytime I say a color, next time it will be a state, first name, you can come up with an infinite number of reasons for it, or examples of this. So now when we're knocking, at first we want to do what I call the UPS knock. This is the UPS knock. Because they actually don't want you to come to the door. So they like fake knock. So we want, that's an exaggeration, but we want to, just such a light knock. The whole point is your dog, when you're doing counter conditioning, can't be reactive. So what we want to do is we want to lower the threshold low enough where your dog will sit and take a treat. Now, I do counter conditioning a little bit different than other people. Other people will, basically what they do is they try to do the stimulus first, and then they give the dog a treat. And that way, after enough repetition, the dog associates the knock at the door means I'm about to get a treat. So instead of thinking that it needs to rush to the door and yell at people, I'm just going to sit right here. Who's paying me? Now, the problem with that is this is a learned behavior. Now the dog's going to run to the door. Now, if you do it, we probably could get away with doing it the traditional way of just knocking very lightly. But what I typically like to do is build a positive association. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this with about 5 treats. What I'm going to have him do is I'm going to have him give me like a 10% knock, single knock every time I say a number. But before I say the number, I'm going to pop a treat in the dog's mouth. So this is the part that people say is the wrong way to do it. This is just the way I like to start off the exercise. All right, so are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so people don't realize, even though I work with dogs, I got actually attacked by a dog when I was 13. So you saw a little bit of a twitch, but didn't go barking because it was quiet and I had a treat in my mouth. And then I actually read a book on dog behavior when I was 10. A little bit of a dart, but didn't go running towards the dog. And that's the whole point. This is what we call sub-threshold. Dog's not reactive. Once your dog is reactive, it's essentially hysterical. It's not going to listen to anything. You're not going to teach it anything. You have to take it away from the thing until it completely calms down. Not calmer, but calm. All right, so we'll do one more of these, and we'll just say number 1. Actually, we'll do a couple more. How about number 12? And then when I played football, my number was 44. So we're seeing the dog's paying attention, but no longer lurching towards the door. Okay, so now we're going to switch to the next side, which is going to be the stimulus is going to happen first, followed by the reinforcer afterwards. Now, when I was squishing it, a lot of times if a dog is like this, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do like this, and then say like 12. So again, this is kind of the bridge between the before and after. Before I'm giving the treat first and then the stimulus happens. Eventually we want to get to the point where your end result is the stimulus happens and then the dog gets a treat afterwards. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do a little bit of that. And so with each knock is going to progress a little bit higher. So let's go ahead and start with the number 3. And then we'll go to a 7. I almost went early. And now as you notice that one was a little bit louder. And we're going to go to a level 10. Looked, but no lurch. All right, so now we're going to go back and we're going to change it. We're going to go to 2 knocks. And when we do the change, he's going to knock in a lighter fashion. So we're still going to use the number like when I say number 2. And then number 12. Now, you can also get your dog to go to a dog bed or something like that when you do the same technique. All I want to do is just have her not bark when she hears it. So let's go ahead and do a 40. There we go. And then a 50. And this time give me like 4 really hard knocks. Hard Knocks, that's a TV show that's going to start this Sunday, which I believe is going to be the 25th. No barking, no lunging. Now, this is going to take some practice. What I would recommend, in this house, there's 3 dogs. And so we have a Husky, a Shepherd mix, and then her. It's going to be harder to do with all 3 dogs, and they're going to cascade off of each other. So the guardian walks one of the dogs. So maybe when the guardian is walking, running one of the dogs, if somebody else is here, we could practice this technique with the other people who are here. And I would do it, even though your Husky Winter is very nondescript and doesn't really get involved. You might do the same thing if she starts getting to that point. If she's not, she doesn't really respond, you don't have to worry about it at all. But even if she just gets excited but she's not barking, I would do the same technique because that excitement can also, even though she's not barking, can cause barking here. All right, so I'd like you to practice this maybe when you do this with about, anywhere from about 8 to 16 treats per dog per practice session. You want to practice at different times of the day. And again, when the other dogs are not in the room, and do it with each dog. What I usually do when I have multiple dogs, I do it with each dog individually until I can like pound on that door like I'm the police and the dog doesn't bark at all. Then I would do that and keep practicing until you get your 2 best dogs that are doing it like that. Then bring those 2 best dogs together and have them practice together. Then bring the 3rd dog in with one of the best dogs, the worst dog with the best dog, and then eventually you get all 3 of them together, and the knock on the door doesn't make her bark anymore. And also, if you have people in the neighborhood, if it's a doorbell, and you can do the same principle for the doorbell. If it's a doorbell, though, what I would do is I'd arrange to have kids and their kids in the house. So I arrange to have one of the kids say, look, we want you to ding-dong ditch us, so we actually want you to do it. But we're going to be on the phone. So what we're watching TV, we're relaxed. You got to make sure they can't see anything through the door. If the dog sees a figure, then that'll trigger it. And basically, we're watching TV and there's nobody at the door. Say, okay, now, and the kid rings the doorbell. And the ding dong, and the dog runs there, but nobody gets up. So again, that's the desensitization part of it. And then the doorbell, if it's triggering the same response, I would do the same thing here, but with the doorbell. Now with the doorbell, sometimes the smart doorbells, there's a little bit of a delay. So just anticipate that. So if it's like 1 second from the time that they press the button before it does, then I would say maybe give them the signal to trigger it, they ring it, I count to 1, and then I'm giving the dog. So you have to factor that in so it's not coming at the wrong time. Does that make sense? All right, well, this is Gypsy. Look how pretty she is. And these are some tips and tricks on how you can use counter conditioning to stop a dog from barking when there's a knock at the door.